Welcome to the Course Creators Podcast with course design expert Jenny Rice. Whether you're an experienced creator or just starting out, this podcast helps build courses that resonate, transform, and make an impact. Each episode, we'll explore strategies and tips to help you create engaging, successful courses. Let's dive in.
Hi, this is Jenny Rice from Course Creators Podcast. I'm very excited about our guest today, Andy Bayon tell me more about yourself, Andy, and your background and exactly what your area is.
Thanks, Jenny, and really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you here. Always enjoy our conversations, and it's fun to be on your podcast. My areas of focus right now are Earth Tribes, which is a community for people working to restore and regenerate Earth and our relationship to it. And that's lots of different things. That's regenerative practices and climate conscious conversations and that world. And also I have a company called The Nature Effect, and that was started many years ago, really with a desire to have people experience their own personal connection to nature. And that started with tours and beautiful places when I lived in San Diego, but it's evolved to really encompass our inner world. And that focus of mine is really to help people heal and feel powerful in the areas where they want to show up powerfully in their life.
And I love that you've connected the nature effect with the inner world, because as we connect with nature, then there's an opportunity to connect within and have that same level of connection on both arenas, right?
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's my favorite. It is my favorite opportunity to really come back to myself, where I feel like, I've lost myself. I'm too anxious. I'm too stressed, or whatever that is. Going into nature always helps bring me back. And that I know that's not just a me thing, because we are nature.
Absolutely.
And so it's not a surprise that it helps us come back to ourselves. And You're right. It's totally the same. The natural world isn't out there, it's in here too.
Right.
So we can use that for us.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about your courses you offer and what transformation your learners get.
Thanks for asking. I have the True Nature Trail, which is really the course created as a result of all the places that I used to trip up and get in my own way. And I created that because I realized I used to be like, not deathly nervous, but just like I would get up to speak, like giving a presentation at my job, giving a speech. I gave my best buddy's best man speech, and oh man, I prepared a lot for that, so it was great fun. But I was so nervous, like sweating. I was red. I was like kind of stammering, and I realized before I created this course, I was like, wow, I enjoy speaking now. Like, how did that happen? So I unpacked the work that I did on myself to be able to show up comfortably and speak authentically in those moments. Now, it doesn't mean that the nerves don't show up. I'm still human. Of course they do. But that course was the inspiration, what I created, breaking down what I did to come back to ourselves, because we each have circumstances or things that we have to do in life that make us feel anxious. And I realized I did not have control of my mind. My mind was running the show and telling me, what are other people thinking? How are you going to do this? You're not prepared, and all that stuff, just like running away with me. And what I had discovered that was really the inspiration for this course is, how do we take back control of the mind and come back to what I call center, so that we're centered and focused and calmer and clear whenever we have to go do these things that might seem challenging or stressful.
Right. And I love that it connects again back to your nature perspective too, because as we're connecting within and we calm the mind and we do that, then things like that speech that you did at that wedding won't be so overwhelming, so scary and things like that. So, which is great. Yeah. So what transformative benefit your clients are going to get, because they're going to say, hey, I don't have to have that anxiety anymore. I know how the mind works. I can connect in with nature. I can ground myself
Hmm.
and be there so I don't have to have that anticipatory anxiety, right?
Yeah, it's thank you for asking that, because I mean, there's this whole world there. Just being connected with the natural world is a benefit in and of itself, right? But you don't need a course to go do that. This course in particular focuses on three places where our mind seems like it controls us, and one of those is, what I noticed is judgment. Now you look out in the world, you see a lot of judgment, and I realized, as a function of my own inner work, that there's a lot of judgment within myself. Sometimes it shows up and I realize I'm judging someone else. Whoa, okay, that's that's not what I'm committed to. But really, where I see it the most often is judging myself. And now the difference is, it's not that it's completely absent, but I see how misaligned that is with who I really am. Like what I call in the course, your true nature. You didn't come into this world judging and doubting and fearful and worrying and self-critical. Those are things that are learned through life experience from other people. So this course is really about retraining the mind to identify and heal those false beliefs and non-supportive practices at their source. So judgment is just an example, but it's, there's a lot of things that fall under that, like self-doubt, self-criticism, all the ways that we put ourselves down. Sometimes we talk to ourselves that we would never speak to our
Right.
best friend or like a family member that we love that way. But the other areas are, this is connected with the fluctuations of the mind. Coming back to ourselves, not letting the mind run us, also helps us physically heal. And for me, what I realized is that when I would try to go to sleep at night, my mind was like running a marathon. You gotta do this, you gotta do that, and
Monkey
this
mind,
didn't go right.
right?
And it's like, oh God, it's exhausting, and it zaps our vitality, right? So being mindful that if the mind's running the show, we can not only come up with mental practices to step out of that monkey mind, like you say, but also to incorporate the body and the breath, and as you were saying, the natural world, so that when we show up to our responsibilities in life, we feel calmer and more connected to ourselves.
Absolutely. What a good description of what your course content is all about and the impact it's going to have. So, most of our listeners here are people just like you that want to create courses. So, what were some of the challenges that you had in creating a course, and how did you overcome them?
This is how much time you got, Jenny, because there's a lot here. This is my first course that I created. I'm so grateful to you and your guidance of how to go about doing this, because all of the things that I talk about in the course, I had to work through, like my own, who am I to do this? Who's going to care? Am I saying it the right way? So it was really a lot of my own journey to kind of lean into those, recognize that those are coming from either from something in the past or from this fearful place that isn't actually true. So as I stepped into my own true nature, which is this desire to help people heal, an understanding that we are responsible for creating our own, whether it's our work, how we show up for our family, we get to be responsible for all of that. And what I mean by responsible is we're responsible for our own minds and our speaking and how we feel and what we focus on. So that's really what it showed me is I've got to practice this all the way throughout the building of the course. And the things that I usually do to complicate matters, writing way too much, more than I need, pages and pages and pages, that's fine to get it all out. But really having a focus on who I'm helping, what the difference this course makes really doesn't have to be complicated. So I think that's a major part of my journey, is like recognizing where I was complicating things and taking too long, and coming back to the simple, powerful nature of the opportunity to heal our minds, and then as such heal all of our self, the different parts of self, so that we can follow through and speak our gift.
Right.
So if you're creating a course and you're listening to this, you have something to give. You have something to offer. You know this because you've already started down the path of, okay, this is what I want to do a course on. And it's just being mindful of the things that we do to get in our own way. Every one of us does this because we're human, but we don't have to stop there. We don't have to give more credence to that stuff than we do our commitment. And that's a major piece that I learned, is just let your commitment, which is not about us, of course, it's about being of service. Let that drive the work that you do. And then all the stuff that gets in the way, if you keep showing up with your commitment, you work through that.
And I love that what you're teaching people, you applied to yourself as you were going through this process too. So not only were you preparing this for your clients, but it was helping you through the process itself. What a gift to give other people and to yourself with that too, right? And I believe that less is more. Sometimes people tend to want to over deliver, and you end up overwhelming people when it comes to course creation, right? So it's good you simplified it. So wonderful. Okay, as we end the podcast here, do you have any tips for course creators that you can leave here as we end this podcast today?
Well, I think I just mentioned some of them, of not overcomplicating things. I think really the most important thing, Jenny, is to trust. Even if you don't have the clear picture of how it's going to go, or exactly what you want to say, or exactly what you want to give people, allow yourself to stay there. Allow yourself to keep showing up with your commitment. There's a verse of the Tao Te Ching, which is this book written or dictated thousands of years ago in the East. And my favorite verse of this, of the Tao Te Ching is, are you willing to wait until the mud settles and the water becomes clear? For me, sometimes I can't figure this out. I have to go to the next thing. Just be with it. Sometimes we feel like we need to have an answer or a clear path forward every time. When we push through that without allowing it to just kind of marinate, I think we step out of our gift. And I don't mean like don't follow through on something. I mean, don't overcomplicate it by second guessing yourself. So I think trusting yourself and coming back to that you do have something to share. Doesn't have to be perfect. Like you said, you don't have to fold it all into one course. You might have multiple courses that you begin to see in the process of things you want to offer. But trust your ability to speak from that authentic place that you have, that only you uniquely have. And that's the gift to the world that we get to give.
What a great way to end this podcast with that great tip. And I love how insightful you are and how clear you are in your messaging too, which is really great, Andy. Thank you so much for being a guest on this Course Creators podcast. This is Jenny with Andy. Thank you again for your time today.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thanks for listening to the Course Creators podcast. For more insights and to connect with a community of creators, join our Course Creator channel on The Great Discovery. We offer both free and premium memberships. Check the link below. Until next time, keep creating, inspiring, and transforming lives.